Devin Haney, you know, Connor Ben. Like, there's a lot of fights that like Shakur can like be involved in and beat all these dudes, man. Beat all of them. Has a chance of beating all of them, right? And solidifying, his mark in, back when, I was helping somewhat mentoring Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford surpassed everything I done did and more. Interesting enough, Terrence Crawford mentored Shakur, and Terrence Crawford is on Mount Rushmore. Yeah, he is for sure. But I feel like Shakur, just like Crawford was with me, Shakur has the ability to pass Terrence Crawford. Yo, Temp Desert Storm Bradley, you already know the rest. Yo, guys, I'm getting a lot of requests for, the Keyshawn and Ortiz, break down our thoughts after the fight, post-fight thoughts. I haven't looked at that fight yet. As soon as I look at it, I swear I'll do a breakdown on it. I heard Keyshawn look very, impressive. Also want to do one on Shushu Carrington. But congratulations to both those guys. But, man, the reason for this video, Haney might be the guy that can compete and beat Shakur Stevenson, but I would never bet against Shakur, man. I think defensively, I think he's a brilliant boxer. I don't think anybody.
Tim Bradley is dropping a massive reality check on the lightweight division, and he's not holding back. He has sent a direct no-nonsense warning to Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney that their days at the top are numbered. Bradley believes the uncrowned king has finally arrived, and he is calling out the fear that he believes is keeping the current stars from stepping into the ring. This isn't just commentary, it's a prophecy. And according to Bradley, Shakur Stevenson is coming to take it all.
Recent fights, couple weeks apart, Shakur and Tank, did it change your assessment about that fight at all? You've always picked Shakur.
Yeah. Yes. It somewhat has, man. And I say he fights at the level of competition, and you can say, oh, there's some contradiction going on now, but I still got Shakur, but there is still it's like, I can see a path to where Tank can beat him. I can see it. I can see a path in a way that I believe that Tank can catch him and hurt him and knock him out. I'm not gonna give that away. However, I can see the path. I can see a path, man. Well, I could talk about it. I mean, it's the fact that he's not, when you put heat on him, he's so damn defensive that he don't throw punches. There's nothing in return. So you're able to mount an attack on him and let your hands go, and you're not going to receive any counter punches coming back. I think Tank sees that. I think Tank knows that. So as long as those counters don't come, Tank's gonna be in there. As long as he's not willing to risk getting caught, Tank's gonna be in the fight. Period. And if he starts moving back on his bicycle and Tank's coming forward, Tank gonna be the aggressor. That's what's gonna happen. So I can see Tank actually winning the fight now when I thought that he couldn't, on the scorecards, and not knocking out Shakur because of this.
The most explosive part of this breakdown focuses squarely on Gervonta "Tank" Davis. For years, the narrative has been that Tank is the cash cow, the face of the sport, and the man who calls the shots. But Bradley flips that script entirely, labeling the Baltimore knockout artist a 30-year-old prospect. It's a harsh title, but the logic behind it is ruthless. The accusation here is that Tank's team has carefully curated his career to avoid the high-risk, low-reward technicians who could make him look bad. Bradley isn't buying the money fight excuse anymore. He's putting it plainly. Tank is scared. Not scared of getting hurt, but scared of being outclassed. The rumor circulating through the forums and the Reddit threads is that Tank is trying to wait Shakur out, hoping the young star loses momentum or moves up in weight because a fight with Shakur threatens to expose the holes in Tank's game that pure power can't fix.
And Al probably told Gervonta Davis, man, you don't need that guy, Shakur Stevenson, man. You don't need that guy. Hey, look, I told Spence he didn't need Crawford. Now, you disobeyed me. You saw what happened. You saw what happened with Spence. Now, you disobey me. Now, I'm not saying he's going to knock out. I'm not saying he's going to knock out. Shakur going to knock out Tank. But Shakur can beat him. And Al, PBC know that. They know it. You know, so I think what Tank is doing, he's listening to what he's been told to him. He listened. I don't think it's a thing of him being afraid, man. I don't think it's a guy being afraid, man. You know, I hear a lot of people, you know, talking about the zestiness of Tank. And, you know, on another note, I hear him talking about the zestiness and, you know, I saw the little purse he had, and I saw the, you know, the little nail polish and stuff he had. You know what I'm saying? I see all of that. Oh, yeah. But look. Dennis Rodman, one of the coldest brothers on the planet. Coldest. Crazy as all hell. Straight nut. You know what I'm saying? He'll bang you and your girlfriend or your wife.
Then there is the situation with Devin Haney. While Tank is accused of dodging, Haney is being dismissed as simply inferior. In the eyes of many analysts, Haney is a master boxer. But Bradley sees a ceiling there that doesn't exist for Stevenson. When breaking down the potential matchups, Bradley didn't mince words. He sees both Tank and Shakur beating Haney. It leaves the dream in a precarious position, holding the accolades but lacking the fear factor. The difference, according to this new analysis, is mastery. Shakur possesses a level of defensive brilliance and ring IQ that Haney, for all his talent, hasn't quite reached. Haney can be hurt, as we've seen in recent fights, but Shakur remains an enigma, a puzzle that the current champions don't seem eager to solve.
But what would like a Devin and Shakur fight look like? You know, you got Shakur and Tio possibly fighting. I mean, it seems like now is the time for these guys to finally get in the ring.
Yes, it is. And, you know, off the rip, I'm just going to let y'all know right now, I would never bet against Shakur Stevenson. I'm letting y'all know off the rip, you know. Haney might be the guy that can compete and beat you know, Shakur Stevenson, but I would never bet against Shakur, man. I think defensively, I think he's a brilliant boxer. I don't think anybody can outthink him. Or outposition him, man. You know, I just think he's just too slick, too hard, really hard to figure out. So, but yeah, hey, that's why we do the fights, right? That's why we do the fights. I said that, right? I said that Norman can beat Haney, and Haney went in there and, you know, did his thing against him. So, you know, just because I said don't mean it's true, right?
To understand why Bradley is so confident in this prediction, you have to look at the lineage. This is about the student surpassing the master. Bradley brought up a fascinating parallel in a recent video that adds a mythical layer to this rivalry. He recalled how he once mentored Terrence "Bud" Crawford. Eventually, Crawford didn't just learn from him. He surpassed him, becoming an all-time great and leaving Bradley's own accomplishments in the dust. Now, the cycle is repeating. Crawford has been the mentor to Shakur Stevenson, and Bradley predicts that Shakur will do the exact same thing to Bud. It's a bold claim that Shakur will eventually eclipse the man currently sitting on the Mount Rushmore of boxing. This isn't just about skills, it's about destiny. Bradley sees an evolution in Shakur that suggests we haven't even seen his ceiling yet.
Coming 3-time undisputed and, you know, going up to, you know, that many weight classes, not from that standpoint. You know, he already has 4 weight classes. Crawford is a 5-weight division champion. But in a sense of having the opportunities that Crawford didn't have. You know, Crawford would have been even bigger than what he is if the politics didn't play into the sport at the time. And now that, you know, you have guys like Turki Al-Sheikh that are able to bridge that gap between promoters and, you know, make these big fights happen. You know, imagine if Turki was around when Crawford was on his climb. You know, when Crawford couldn't get those big fights with like Thurman and Danny Garcia and Ugas, and he got it later with Sean Porter, but it was later. But imagine if Crawford was able to have that run, and Earl Spence, Danny Garcia, Ugas, Keith Thurman, the list goes on. If he would have had all those guys on his ledger, imagine how big Crawford would be. He would be even bigger than what he is today. Bigger than what he is today.